All right. You guys can hear me now, right? I'm busy fixing it. Sorry. I haven't streamed for a while. Where's... No, that's wrong. Hold up. I'm fixing it. All right, there we go.
7 shots, and he replied he's now unable
All right.
to
Can you guys hear it now?
And during the viewing
Bossy, how
of
you
the
doing? Jack
footage,
Sparrow,
the
how you doing?
witness
Belinda, how you
explained
doing?
the
Luke, how you
question
doing, brother?
posed by the state
Our fun venture, how
as
you
to
doing?
how he views the footage.
Great, how you doing, sir?
And he pointed Mavundla and Chauke. He confirmed
Oh, yeah,
that
Bossy.
the rifle or toy rifle.
Dude, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is the longest, this is taking forever. I've been watching this pretty much the whole day, and it is ridiculous.
He was asked how he knows that Larry handed him a toy and not the SPA 24940.
What do you guys think? Guilty or not?
He replied that he works on the principle of SAPS and Mavundla. In conclusion, the state made the following statements to the witness: that he indeed fired the CNSPA 249 and that he should have checked if it was a real or toy gun handed to him. The witness replied that with regards to the firearm, put that on my DNA, and there was no need to check as Mavundla had the instructions
How did he die, Chris?
wanted him, or that he must do.
This is insane.
Re-examination by
man.
Advocate Odes, the witness repeats that he did not fire any firearm and that in video clip 1, he does not see himself in the clip, and the reason why the 5 VIP members not called was to persecute him. That finalized the evidence of accused number 1.
Can I just say, the amount of people on X, on social media, that legitimately think that this is racially motivated, that thinks that the only reason people are even going after Julius Malema is because he's black, and somehow that's the problem. It's apartheid politics. And it's like, dude, the man shot a rifle in public. That's illegal.
2 of them are from the Eastern Cape. They are in employ of SAPS at the VIP protection unit. I'll merely refer to the contents, and as far as it is relevant to the incident dated 28th July 2018. Okay.
Queen, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Andile Kuma states, my colleague and I, known as Sergeant Nzeleni, also stationed at the Protection Security Services East London, was at the East London airport on the 21st. I assume this is a copy I received from the Defence Advocate Odes, or that the 21st, as it start over, may be a typing error. I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to have a look, but all of them refer to 21 August.
Should we not, dude, it would be so much easier if this was a movie or a series where we could just skip to the guilty or not.
Copy of the originals, so in that format. So,
Shane, the biggest issue that I have, and this is something that I desperately try to make clear to people when I'm discussing this stuff with them, and that is that until we learn, in this country specifically, to take responsibility for our actions, right? But every single time you have a politician breaking the law, outright stealing, it's like their supporters just want to brush it all away. They just want to go, no. You don't know. You don't know. He didn't do this. This isn't his fault. And all that does is you're basically telling and teaching the elite that they can get away with anything. They just have to say the right stuff. So I truly hope that he is found guilty. Of course, he won't go to jail. But at least if he's found guilty, maybe there can be some kind of, I don't even want to say there's going to be repercussions, because let's be real, probably won't be. But, maybe.
Stadium, himself and Sergeant Nzeleni were not allowed into the designated stadium.
Grey Hour, thank you so much for the 2. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that. Thank you. She just said, you're being mean. Stop losing weight faster than me. I don't even know if I'm losing weight, but I do appreciate that.
Did you witness any shooting or at any stage entered the stage area? And then it just states that the firearm he was issued with. When dealing
Tekla,
with
thank you very much.
evidence or the statement of Lungise and Zilani, it reads exactly the same as Truma, safe to say.
Come on, lady. Judge, come on. Read some stuff. They just tell us where the... Okay. I mean, the country doesn't have any law anyway, so who cares? But
Collins from the National Protection Security Services drove Mr. Julius Malema's vehicle. Sergeant Kuma from East London office was the leading vehicle, and the lack vehicle, which he calls, or the back vehicle, he was alone. I was the backup vehicle in a Ford Ranger white in color, and Kara
Chris,
from
that's
the
good.
National Office. Okay, get to the actual event. My colleague and I was not allowed into the designated area by the tents. I was.
yeah.
Here we go. Sorry, let me rephrase.
Oh, right.
Myself and Sergeant Kuma was not allowed and remained parked outside the designated area. He confirms that during the evening of the event, himself and his colleagues
Rach, I feel
were
you.
allowed into the designated area by the tents to get food.
It feels like it's going slower because this lady genuinely, or this judge at least, genuinely feels like she's doing it on purpose. But I can also understand. So where I will give her grace, because I think it's always important to give people grace, and where I will do so, she has to, by law, read every single thing that's happened. Because all of this now has to be sort of committed to the official sort of register of the court, right? So all this now goes on record, and she has to read this in case anyone has any sort of discrepancy. So if the defense or if the prosecution feels that something was read wrong or something went wrong, they should have the right to say, hold on, that's not what happened here. So I can sort of understand. Anyone who has ever done this will know you're literally sitting there reading for how many hours at a time, right? So it can get hard, but it is still a little funny.
You witness any...
No. Belinda, listen properly. Listen properly. Okay? It's not her. You need to listen properly.
States that...
Listen properly. 1 million.
During the alleged incident, he was on the stage with his back turned to the crowd. My back was turned to the crowd because I am in charge of securing the back door to the right.
This is such...
the right side entrance from...
Dude, so basically, I'm just going to mute a lot of this and I'm just going to talk to you guys. I don't think anyone gives a crap. We're just here to hear whether or not he's guilty, right? His entire defense, effectively, is... And I sort of thought he was going to go for the AI approach because they tried to float that a couple of weeks ago. They were sort of like going, maybe AI did this. Luckily, they didn't go for that defense. But it seems like his entire defense is this was a toy gun. Now, I wouldn't call myself an expert on firearms. I've shot guns before. I like doing it. That was not a toy gun, unless this guy figured out how to make the smoke come out of the barrel, have the recoil be literally exactly the way that you would expect the recoil to be. It's truly insane that is his defense. But I also think it speaks to the level of arrogance. He genuinely believes himself to be above the law. And therefore, there's no reason for him to even worry about this.
Defense case in respect of accused 1 and 2 closed.
And now, the verdict.
May I ask, I'm not sure, I've seen that defense is not willing to or not comfortable to discuss aspects in chambers, but this revolves around continuing further for this day. And for that, I need to know your departure times, etc., and verify the time I've been given as suitable to you. We will return immediately then and continue if it is arranged for your schedules.
Why can't you just issue the verdict?
Meaning you have to be there at?
What the hell is going on, dude? Like,
So you also need to be there at 5 o'clock.
Well, not really, because we have a private plane, so...
May I
This is
shake my
nuts.
head now?
Why are you shaking your head?
I'm entitled to do so. It's my right to do so. Okay, may we just please, we won't delay, and you may obtain the consent of your clients if you so wish, but I'm not inclined to discuss on national TV the extent and time, so if we can just have a 1-minute discussion and return immediately. In the interim, accused 1 and 2, whichever officials, if you want to take a bathroom break, now would be the perfect time because we won't, in essence, then stop anytime soon. Court will briefly adjourn.
dude, you guys aren't wrong. It genuinely feels as if, dude, it feels as if Julius Malema has protection within the government. I hate doing conspiracy theory stuff, right? Especially on channel. I can run with a good conspiracy theory with the best of them. But I have said years ago, like I remember the very first time the EFF came into existence. I was very young still at that time. I remember looking at my dad and I said to him, the EFF is it's just the racist wing of the ANC. And I think it was my dad. It may have been someone else. But they said, why do you think that? And I was like, well, the ANC is in charge of the country. If they were to become super radical racists, they would effectively be shut down by the world. Right? The world wouldn't stand for that. But if they could move all of the racists into the EFF, jobs are good in. Julius Malema can go on to be the most racist person on the planet. And effectively, the ANC can just pretend like this isn't their position. And I keep going back to it. Julius Malema has been in court now a couple of times. He has broken the law a couple of times. Julius Malema has said outright genocidal things about white people. Nothing has ever happened to him. If a white person said even half of what Julius Malema has said, you'd be in jail already. You'd be gone already. Thanks for playing. Good luck to you. This guy just keeps getting away with it. And I keep wondering, how is this possible? Like, there's no way that this is just happening and he doesn't have incredibly high up protections. Because even now, why will this judge not discuss on national TV? What the hell is this? She's supposed to render the judgment. And she's like, well, I want to know how long do you guys have before you have to leave? What the hell are you talking about? Render the judgment. What is going on? I genuinely feel like I'm living in cuckoo land here. CCS, how you doing, bro? Magna, how you doing? The magistrate is not competent at all. No, it doesn't feel like it. I don't know, right? I've never been a magistrate, and I have never been to court, so I genuinely don't know. But it just feels like, it feels like a setup. It feels like this is all for show. Some stage, the facade will have to break, right? One would think so. One would think so, but it doesn't have to. D-Rex, how you doing? Nothing will ever happen to him. He is the sidebar for the government, creating a sensational deflections and distractions. Mental, I can't tell you what I know because I don't have permission to do so. I can't even tell you how I know it because I don't have permission to tell you. But as you guys know, I grew up in the same hometown as Julius Malema, Polokwane. I come from his hometown, where he lives, where his kids go to school, where his wife lives. I know exactly where his house is, and all of it, right? I know quite a few people who have told me in private what you see from Julius Malema, right? The way he is on stage, the way he is in public. Not at all. Not the guy he is in private. In private, how do I say this without giving anything away? Trying to think how to say this because I don't have permission to say. Let's put it this way. He refuses to have black teachers teach his kids. Like that I know for a fact. And he only works with white-owned companies for a lot of things. So in public, he's not a racist at all. At least from the people that have met him and that know him. They say he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He is very nice, very friendly, loves making jokes. He's like two different people. So I'm not sure if he's just pretending, right? Or if this is genuinely just a game to him. Because he makes a lot of money being the racist that he is in public. Right? There's a lot of money that is paid to the EFF by people who genuinely want a revolution. But I just always ask myself, this is something that has bothered me for a long time. Almost all communist revolutionaries eventually go to violence. Almost all of them. And there has been many times in South Africa where Julius Malema could have gone violent. Right, where he could have, sound the drums of war and do his violent revolution, and yet he has never done that. Every single time there's been an opportunity for him to do that, he has calmed things down, right? And that just brings me back to the idea that he's just here to make money. Like for him, this is one big game. He says, shoot the Boer, shoot the farmer. And his supporters go, yeah. His donors go, yeah. And he goes home, catching, and he moves on. So smoke and mirrors, that creates all the tension publicly through deception. So shall there be war? Mental, the problem, of course, is that while he might be completely faking it, right? While he might absolutely not give a crap, right? Queenie, I will update you tomorrow as soon as we know anything. I will make a video on it anyways. The problem, of course, is that he has a lot of followers. And his followers might not LARP alongside him. This is the problem with race politics. This is why I think it's incredibly dangerous to focus on race. Number one, I find race to be an incredibly stupid argument for anything. Because if you tell me someone is black, all you've told me is you're not white. Right? You've told me nothing else. I don't know how you think. I don't know what you think about. I don't know what you care about. Like, none of that crap. Your race tells me nothing about you. So I think focusing on race is stupid to begin with. But more importantly, when you focus on race, you ignite tribalism. And tribalism lies in the heart of every single man. It's how we lived for hundreds of thousands of years. We have been brought up in tribes, so we understand how to think tribally. And race is one of the easiest tribes for us to join. So when you actually awaken that tribalistic sort of seed in the heart of man, hate will spew forth from it. My question is just, when the race wars finally do start, do you think people like Julius Malema and Herman Mashaba will be on the front lines fighting the good fight? Like, do you actually see them standing on the front lines in the trenches, branding or brandishing their AK-47s? Hell no. Not at all. Chris, yeah. I mean, God created us for this. We can go back to the Tower of Babel, right? Where this was sort of established, if you will.
Appreciate that.
Swatter fan, thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. Really appreciate you. Thank you. You're far too kind. The game for these people is to stay in and around the movers and shakers, and to do that, you have to say or do whatever it takes, even if you don't believe it. True. Sadly, that's the thing I hate most about politics. I really despise politics. But I think more than anything, I despise how common people, and by common I mean all of us, how we have accepted lies in politics. For example, when the DA outright lied, right? Remember what happened, right? The DA, their deputy minister, was fired by Cyril Ramaphosa, and the DA went live on air, and they said that they will support no budgets of ANC cadre ministers involved in corruption. That was their red line. Right? We will not support any budgets from corrupt ministers. The ANC turns around, fires one corrupt minister, not even the most corrupt minister, but at least a corrupt minister. And what does the DA do? Oh, well, we just said we always wanted to see the ANC at least try to stop corruption. Fine, we'll vote for all of your budgets. And everyone said, hey, dude, that's just politics. And I'm like, no, that isn't just politics. It's called lying. You see, but that's the thing. Whenever politicians lie, we, the people, go, well, that's just politics. It's like, no, that isn't that is lying. It's not politics. It's lying. And the fact that we continuously go, that is politics, is giving our politicians the freedom to lie as much as they want. Because they know, hey, we'll just gobble it down. Annoys me. Oh, Amu, if I could tell you, I would. We don't know. The judge spent the last day, almost, maybe more than a day, basically reading everything in the case that we've seen up until now. And now they're on a break to discuss whether or not Julius Malema would like the judgment right now. Maybe he would like to wait another day. The judge just called him into her chambers to figure out whether or not this fits his schedule. So, who knows, right? Joey, I don't know if the judges bought. I think it's pretty difficult to buy judges in South Africa. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is fairly difficult. Our judges are actually paid incredibly well. So our judges tend to be a little bit more on the, I guess, decent side. Not great, but maybe more decent than most. For example, our judges compared to even American judges are paid significantly better. At least it used to be. I don't know how it's now. So I don't know. I will say, though, I think it's more fear, as someone else said here. I think there's a lot of fear. I mean, this judge understands, right? Z Vengeance, how you doing, brother? This judge fully understands. If she gives a guilty verdict, there's a riot outside her courtroom, right? And most likely people at her house tonight. Advocates on the day of judgment negotiating a settlement, an expensive one. Oh, crap. Which verdict is this for? He breaks so many laws so often. So, Flex, this is for a case that happened quite a few years ago at this point. But Julius Malema effectively shot a gun in the air during a celebration, an EFF celebration, a rally. He took a gun and just shot some bullets into the air as part of the celebration. It's on video. It's on video. It's clear as day. I showed you guys the video when I covered this a few months ago. And he is pretending, or at least his defense in this courtroom is it's a toy gun. That's his defense. It's a toy gun. Never mind the fact that the gun literally had to be cocked. Never mind the fact that the gun had a magazine that you can clearly see is a proper magazine that has to be inserted. Never mind the fact that you see actual recoil and smoke from the barrel. Never mind any of that, right? It was a toy gun. So, hey. Julius being judged by someone whom he appoints. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. Sellotape from Malema. It's sellotape. They didn't try. Stephen, let me ask you, why do you say hands off Julius Malema? What's your argument for that, sir? Sy's te bang om nou die waarheid te gee, maak sin. Dude, Axel obvious. You know, if you're gonna be there is definitely something scary about putting your name out there in this country. With how much political violence there is in this country, I can understand why for a lot of people it's just like, oh no, I genuinely don't want this. But I remember the Zuma riots. I'm just asking if Stephen, if he's sort of equating this to the Zuma riots, right? But hey, in South Africa, it's the one country where our politicians are never held to account. Right? There's no accountability for our politicians ever. Like, she said it's a 1 minute thing. Like, what the hell is this? It was supposed to be a 1 minute break. Here we are. How many minutes later? Still nothing. And assassins come cheap these days. Sadly, also not wrong. With how weak the rand is, you can imagine, right? How quickly they can get some proper people. You're not afraid of AfriForum if Malema go to jail? Why would I be afraid of AfriForum? Probably implying different factions will F them up. Isn't it against the law to point a firearm, even if it's a fake one? Krista, so a fake one you can probably point, like, not much will happen, unless you're doing it in the course of, you know, say, robbing someone, in which case, yeah, that's probably illegal. But the bigger one is actually firing the gun in public. You're not allowed to fire a gun in public, especially not up in the air. That's actually worse. Firing a gun in the air is very negligent, like super negligent. Cannot point a fake one either, according to our laws, whilst committing a crime. So, Fleck, sure. But if I'm just, this is why I said, most likely during a robbery, you can't point even a fake gun. But if I'm just holding a clearly fake gun, right, and pointing it at someone, I don't think that's against the law. I highly doubt that, right? If it's one of those with the red barrel and crap, so you can clearly see it's a toy gun. Otherwise, there's a lot of kids I have to go report to the police because I've had a lot of water guns pointed at me. You know, and I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's what the law is created for, anyways. So, but I also know that's not what you guys are talking about. Is it wrong to be strong? What do you mean? If it is supported by foreigners, your kid's in trouble. I'm confused because I'm American. This Julius guy, is he like a senator? So D-Rex, Julius Malema he's the commander-in-chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters. They're the latest in a string of failed parties trying to bring communism back. You know, let's run it back one more time because the other times it failed wasn't real communism or whatever. He's a communist, and there's about 9%, not even, it's much less. It's about 4% of the South African black population that believes that this man is going to set them free economically. Not recognizing that if this man ever got to power, they would be eating their own pets and then their own children, like they do in communist nations. But hey, you know, let's run it back one more time, I guess. So he is a member of parliament, and yeah, he's a criminal. Effectively, he's been involved in corruption scandals, outright theft with the VBS scandal, shooting guns, harassing people, assaulting people, and he's pretty much like every other politician in South Africa. It's like he's immune to any of it. David, I don't even necessarily like he is far left, right? But he is also a communist. So there's a lot of far leftists who have long since given up on the idea of communism. They've embraced fascism with everything that goes with it. This man is a communist to the core. Although I would, in saying that, he is a true communist insofar as he's a capitalist when no one's watching, right? Because he does make a lot of money and he lives a very high lifestyle. While all of his followers are dirt poor and dying of hunger, this man lives like a king. And, you know, it's funny how people never put stuff, put stuff together. No one ever goes, wait, if he's so interested in communism, why is he like buying all of these mansions and farms and making all of this money? Like, I don't understand this. But hey, it is what it is. Off topic, how safe it is around Green Market Square these days. Magna, I don't even know where the hell is Green Market Square. Is that in Cape Town somewhere? I don't go into Cape Town proper often. Not because it's unsafe. I just, I'm in the Helderberg area, so I generally have very little that I need to do in Cape Town proper. Every once in a while, I might go after church on a Sunday to the Eastern Bazaar, which is like this food area, amazing food.
Clients, or have you had an opportunity to do so? Okay, we'll just wait to go on record then. All right, I see.
Close to Parliament. I've never been there, so I have no idea. No idea.
On observing the time being nearly 20 to 5. I don't know what instructions you hold pertaining to this matter.
Let's do this, Judge.
1 o'clock, so I must be here before 12.
Look, I can safely say yesterday and today,
You can do it.
the summarizing of the entire case, including all the exhibits, and that consumed 2 days. I could not do otherwise in that regard. So what is left is the evaluation, the law findings. So that I cannot see that it can be more than 2.5 hours max. So, and it suits your client as well.
Okay.
Advocate Matthews.
Same thing, we have to take care of.
Thank you. Advocate Caesar from the state side.
Suitable to me as well.
Thank you.
Turning Point, South Africa. How you doing, bro? Name the employment opportunities, Oba King. What employment opportunities has Julius Malema created? Please. You are an idiot if you believe that. In a just world, Julius Malema would go to jail.
For what I've just placed on record, for those reasons, then we will require tomorrow the morning session. So it is
Justin,
postponed for continuation of judgment to 1 October. You are both on bail extended. Want to be present in court by 9 o'clock for us to proceed with the final part of this the process. Thank you.
Is she for real?
Thank you. You may be excused. Everyone may start backing up if you so wish. I just have to endorse.
So she actually, oh wow. So it's actually going to go to tomorrow because tomorrow she has to go through even more crap. We'll be back tomorrow, I guess, then for that one. And I am biased, Juju. You're absolutely correct. Every human being on this planet is biased. There's no ability or there's no way for anyone to not be biased. The question you should be asking is, am I critical of my own bias? And in that scenario, I am. I'm very critical of my own biases. And I do not see a world in which anyone that has any idea of actual economic theory and how economies work can support someone like Julius Malema. If you do, there's only one explanation, and that is that you do not understand the history of communism. You have not seen the suffering that communism brings, and you specifically seem to not understand who Julius Malema actually is. From the moment that Julius Malema has made a name for himself, he has been involved in corruption scandal after corruption scandal after corruption scandal. Julius Malema isn't trying to make the lives of ordinary South Africans better. He's trying to make his own life better at the expense of ordinary South Africans. He doesn't care about black people. He cares about himself, just like every other black politician in this country, and actually most of the white politicians as well. This is the one thing that most people don't seem to understand. The politicians don't give a crap about you or me. Why would he care? He lives in Sandton. He doesn't have to worry about how to buy his next meal or how to pay his bills. None of this matters to him. All he cares about is that you show up at his rally so he can show his rich friends how much support you give him, and then they give him another check so that he can go buy more crap. The man is a fraud. He promised you a school. He's never built a school. That school is still not built. He promised a bunch of houses to people who died. Guess what? Not a single house has been built. Not a single house has been built. So tell me, if you genuinely believe that this man cares about you and wants to make your lives better, why has he not done that? Why has he not done that? He has the money. He hasn't started a single business. He hasn't started a single school or a single university. He can. Right? He clearly has the money. He has the donors that can do it. There you go with AfriForum. AfriForum is currently building a university too, in fact. Afrikaans universities right here. Where are the black entrepreneurs and the black tenderpreneurs building the universities for black people in this country? Where are these black billionaires of South Africa building things to help black people out in South Africa? It's not coming. Because all of the people in this country, all of the politicians and the people connected to the politicians, guess what? You were very helpful during the struggle years to give them power. And now that they have that power, you are an obstacle. You're no longer their friend. They no longer give a crap. Now it's time to get rich. And that's all they're using you for. You're the one that seems to think that Julius Malema cares about you while living in Sandton. That's insanity. Well, can the judge do her lawful job? We'll see. Kabu, we'll see. The Effluent Party. True, you're wrong, and you don't know the history of this country, and Malema is not corrupt. Built a lot of houses for people. Dude, name one. Oh man, you guys believe a bunch of nonsense, FYI. You believe a bunch of nonsense. Do you think SA will ever have a non-black president? Shumi, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. My immediate response is I don't think so. But then again, stranger things have happened, right? I just found out, like literally 2 weeks ago, I was at a conference from it's this group called Ratio Christi, They do these Christian debate groups on university campuses, and this specific one was at Stellenbosch. And I was there listening to a professor and also the mayor of a town in Zimbabwe. The town in Zimbabwe is 98% black. He won the vote in Zimbabwe with over 70% of the vote. White man, not black, white. And the black Zimbabweans supported him. So I think it's possible, but I don't care. Like, quite frankly, I don't give a crap. I don't care what color my president is. I'm not dating my president, nor am I asked to kiss him or asked to dance with him, right? So I couldn't care less whether he's ugly, fat, big, tall, white, black, colored, Asian. None of that crap matters to me, right? Because I don't ever want to meet the man. I care about whether or not he is competent. Can he do the job? And if he's black and he's a brilliant president, you know who I would want to see as president of this country? I don't know his surname, but he does a lot of these sort of public speaking stuff. His name's Vusi. I don't know. You guys must know who I'm talking about. What's his surname? I think he could actually make a phenomenal president. He's incredibly intelligent. He clearly understands what South Africa needs, which I think is what we need. We need a president that actually understands. But King, I don't have a problem. I told you. It's not about whether or not I don't care what race my president is. I don't care about this stuff. There you go. Vusi Timbukwayo. I think if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I suck with names, so please excuse me for that. But I've watched a number of Vusi's speeches, and I'm always left in awe by the way Vusi sees things. He has an incredible sort of ability to understand things, which I think not many people have. Like, I don't even have that ability, so I always love seeing that. But I think we need a president like that. And I couldn't give two shits what race my president is. I don't know. I lost my racism many, many years ago. And look, I grew up as a racist. I was a massive racist. 16, 17, 18. Oh, boy. I was a giant racist. I was talking to one of my friends from church, also a black guy. And we were talking about it because we were at this church in Bellville. Now, I don't know if you guys know much about Cape Town, but Bellville is a pretty rough neighborhood, colored neighborhood. And there's a Baptist church there, like in the middle of this gangster poor neighborhood. And every year we go there for like a missions outreach where we all go and eat and worship and whatnot. And I'm standing there and we're talking about sort of our history. And yeah. If this was 20 years ago, I would not have been there. But luckily, I had people who listened to my arguments, and they were like, "Dude, you're stupid. That's not good arguments." So yeah, I couldn't give two shits. Like, what someone's race is doesn't matter to me. I agree, color doesn't matter, as don't political parties, as long as they get the job done. I think Rob Hersov would actually be a good candidate, just my opinion. Ooh, I don't know. I like Rob Hersov. I do. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with Rob. I'm just not always sure. Let me tell you what bothers me about Rob. I heard him on a podcast with Biz News 6 months ago, where he said he is not a Christian, nor does he believe in all this religious stuff, and he's more of a stoic, right? He believes in stoicism, and he believes in this stoic sort of idea. And then I heard him on a podcast in America a few months later say, I'm a Christian. I believe in Judeo Christianity. And I remember listening to him and going, what? Dude, are you actually a Christian, or are you only calling yourself a Christian because it's now finally cool? See, because right now, the coolest thing you can be is a Christian. No one cares anymore. In fact, we're winning the culture war. Being conservative, being Christian, these are good things to be, especially after Charlie Kirk, right? So now suddenly everyone is a Christian again. But I heard him say, not even, 6 months ago, that he wasn't a Christian. So that kind of bothered me. That I sort of went, I don't like that very much. That's a bit weird to me. Nanks, no news yet. We're still waiting. We'll be streaming tomorrow because she did say that she will give, the judge said, she will give the judgment tomorrow because they need 2.5 hours. His family is Jewish. No, he may have formally converted. James, it is possible, right? And if he came to me and he said, look, I converted to Christianity a couple of months ago, maybe while he was in America, he went to a Baptist church or to a church there and he had a conversion, great. I praise God. I want people to follow Jesus. But so often, what you end up with from politicians is the political gospel. It's not the gospel. They're not actually preaching Jesus. They're preaching whatever people want to hear, And if people want to hear Jesus, they'll say Jesus. If people want to hear Buddha, they'll say Buddha. If people want to hear no Jesus, no Jesus. So yeah, that's sort of. I know it's cynical, and I should probably not think that way, but that is usually where my mind goes first when I hear people, especially politicians or people connected to politics, when they speak about religion. My first thought is usually, can I trust you? No one mentioned it by the Christmas table. Never heard of the guy, basically. Declan, how you doing, bro? Especially politicians. True. Is a narcissist. He only cares about himself. Bad Ladle, you're not wrong. Your view on the global Islamic threat. Ronaldo Ghost, how you doing, brother? Yeah, but I've followed you for long enough, Ronaldo, that I sort of know, right? And I've seen you post, so I've had enough of a sort of, I think, experience in that sense. Whereas when it comes to someone like Rob Hersov, I've literally only ever seen him in podcasts, right? I've not seen any of his live streams or anything longer than that. So there's obviously a difference there. Wait, who asked me? Someone asked me another question. Oh, my view on the global Islamic threat. I do think Islam is a threat. Oh, Ronaldo, thanks for the 140, man. Really appreciate you.
Ronaldo
Thank you.
super chatted $8.11. Great answer. Smiley face emoji.
Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate that. I think Islam is a threat. I don't think necessarily individual Muslims is a threat, so that always needs to be gotten out of the way, or else people accuse you of hate speech. But I do think Islam specifically is a threat, because fundamentally Islam wants to bring about the end of the world, right? It wants to bring about paradise. And the only way for them to bring about paradise is to convert the whole world to Islam, because paradise will not happen until everyone is Muslim. And the problem is that for some, it's just talking, right? Some just want to talk. Others want to convert by the sword, which is a big problem, obviously, as you can imagine. Ronaldo, thanks for joining the channel as a member. I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you. And Dari, yeah, I should actually do more collabs with everyone in South African politics. I've basically just been working nonstop on making videos and sort of finding my footing in this space. But I follow everyone. Like, I watch every single one in this space. So yeah, I would probably like to do some live streams and discussions with people. I reached out to Roman a while ago, not to get him onto the podcast, onto the channel as a podcast necessarily, but I did want to spend some time talking to him because I don't trust the DA. Let me put it this way, without going into too much detail. I am pretty convinced that the DA is... I'm pretty convinced that the DA is a very bad party. Let me explain to you why. Of all of the people that we know of that are open, honest, Christian people who speak their mind, right? How many of them are still in the DA? How many of them are still in the DA? And by the way, Magna, thank you so much for the 20 there. I really appreciate you. Thank you. You're so kind. Think about this, right? Ronaldo Goes kicked out of the DA. Ramon kicked out of the DA. You have, what's her name? The lady that exposed the lack of an ambassador as well as the lack of any sort of trade negotiations in Washington. What's her name again? Now, she wasn't kicked out officially, but she was kind of kicked out. Like, no one did her any favors. No one was trying. Emma Powell, that's the one. Thank you. Yes, Emma Powell. Emma Powell just sort of quietly sort of shoved off to the side, right? Ramon was in the DA insofar as he was on the team for Steenhuisen. So, I mean, yeah, okay, we can split hairs and say, well, he wasn't officially in the DA. He was more, just working for John Steenhuisen, but it's the same thing. All I keep thinking is this party talks a good game, and yet whenever I see them do anything, they're literally doing the opposite of what they say they're going to do. Andrew Whitfield still hasn't received a new committee to sit on in Parliament. DA is treating him like the flu. Well, there you go, right? Literally, as I said it, I was thinking about Andrew Whitfield and the fact that he just disappeared. He's gone. Never mind. Fired. And the DA stood on principle after he was let go or forced to resign, and then suddenly just bowed down and said, "Never mind." No, I'm just gonna stop caring about this now. I don't know. I feel like the DA. Let me give you guys the best example I have of how little trust I have in the DA and why specifically I have so little trust in them. Do you guys remember a couple of months ago, the DA was making big noise about Action SA having a clean-up fee in Pretoria? Do you guys remember that? This was maybe 2 months ago. Action SA was starting to charge a levy, a cleaning levy in Pretoria, and the DA went out. They went above and beyond to attack Action SA on that cleanup levy, except for the fact that we pay the exact same thing here in Cape Town. Like, the DA here in Cape Town has the exact same cleanup levy. Like, we pay that literally the same as in Pretoria. And I don't like Action SA for very different reasons. I mean, I still have to do the video on this. I'm still trying to collect all of the evidence. But Herman Mashaba is the biggest grifter in South African politics, bar none. Even Julius Malema has more integrity than Herman Mashaba. And it's not even close. Right? Herman Mashaba is the same guy that back in 2016, 2017, 2018, he was the guy that said there should be a non-racial South Africa. When he founded Action SA, he was all aboard non-racialism, and he actually did good. right? His party actually did well. And then in 2024, his party got their, let's be fair, they got their asses kicked. And what does he do? He takes all the wrong lessons and he just starts race grifting away, desperately trying to win the EFF light vote, I guess. So I have little love for Action SA, but we have to be consistent. I understand why cities in South Africa are charging these levies, and I also understand why we get so angry having to pay these levies. We're already drowning in all of the taxes that we have to pay. We're already getting destroyed by an inept government. And now we also have to pay a bunch of levies. But the truth is, the cities can't provide the services required if they don't charge the levies. They're forced to provide services with the bare minimum amount of money. And this government isn't creating enough jobs for more money to come in. And so they're stuck. But then don't lie, right? Why call out Action SA when we can literally open our own electricity bills and water bills and go, what is this cleanup levy that I'm paying here in Cape Town? I will avoid doing business with them. The DA is not perfect, but our only option. Nate Hunter, okay, so no one ever said that you have to be religious in order to be decent, honest, moral, or ethical, right? No one ever made that claim. I will say, though, that I find it interesting that if someone tells you that they're Christian, you will actively discriminate against them, telling me that you are neither decent nor moral or ethical. So I guess in this case, you've just pretty much shot your entire argument to crap, no? UIM seemed promising before Neil de Beer. Oh, dude, Neil de Beer may have actually been the one person that I would have voted for with a clean conscience. Like, actually, I could probably have voted for him fully on board because he was good. Property values to raise tax. I don't know everything that's happening on a local level, right? So I had to make a decision. And I decided very early on, I'm not going to cover local politics because local politics is insane. Right? I don't cover anything about Cape Town. I don't cover anything about Pretoria or Joburg unless it pertains to bigger stuff, right? So if it's something that actually does affect the bigger property or the bigger market, I'll cover it. So I'm not entirely sure what everyone is doing on the local side of things. Blacks never did and never will vote DA more than 3%. Parzival, I don't necessarily agree with you. The fact that the DA was able to get over 22% of the vote in the last election tells you that blacks were absolutely voting for the DA more than 3%. Where the hell did they get all those votes, sir? Oh man, now I'm getting fired up. This is the stupidity of that statement, but also the stupidity of BEE and affirmative action in South Africa. If you just go on your statement, there are only 8% white people in this country. That's it. We make up 8% of the population. If you actually look and you say voting age, we probably make up about 4%, if that, of the voting age people in this country. So we are a very small minority of people that actually can vote or mean anything from a voting statistical perspective, right? So this doesn't matter. But then, just to really top it off for all the people in the back that still think BE and affirmative action is going to save you and you're suddenly going to be super rich if all the white people stop working, let me break this down for you. If you actually look at the voting aged men and women of white race South Africans, it's about 2 million, give or take, right? About 2 million white people who work in this country. If you fired all of the white people, you would be able to bring the black unemployment rate in South Africa from 26 million to 24 million. Congratulations. You still have 24 million black people unemployed. Okay, sure, no white people are working anymore, but there's still 24 million black people not working. And if by some miracle you kept going in the economy and the economy kept growing at the rate that it is, guess what? In 4 years, you'll be back to 26 million. So you've fixed nothing. You've just ensured that no white people are in the economy. Jobs are good. Neta, I have no problem with you not wanting to work with religious people. I just would like to point out that you say decent, honest, and ethical, and yet that is your stance. I would say the stance there, because I would consider myself an incredibly religious person. I would consider myself a deeply religious person. I am a Christian, a Bible professing, gospel following Christian. I believe in the most conservative interpretation of the Bible and of the gospel. And so everything you said in your comment to me was an insult, right? Straight up. That wasn't decent, nor would I consider that to be ethical. It might be honest from your perspective, but it is in no way, shape, or form honest in the slightest. Because it's actually the exact opposite. Religious people aren't the worst people. The religious people are the best people to do business with because they have shared values. Never mind. We'll choose their own. Is court finished or continue? I can't find. Yeah, court continues tomorrow because the judge needed to take a break, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous, but here we are. As my name means too. Chris, oh yeah. Did you talk about Afrikaans who fled the white genocide in SA only to kill his wife in Virginia and the States? Juju, okay, so first, the fact that you believe that story is funny as hell. Because the guy who killed his wife, you're absolutely correct. It was an Afrikaans guy that killed his wife in America. But he left South Africa for America about 8 years earlier. It had nothing to do with the Trump calls for genocide or anything like that. What would you like me to say about that? Since you're asking me to speak on that topic, what exactly would you like me to say? White people commit crimes too? Okay, that's true actually. Black people, at least in South Africa, commit far more crimes. That's also true. Does that now mean that I judge all black people based on the fact that more black people commit crimes than white people in this country? No. It just means that there are a lot of black people who are uneducated and therefore grow up in scenarios that breed criminality. Like, I don't know what you want me to, like, what do you want me to say? What do you think that means? What point do you imagine that makes for you? She was South African. Oh yeah, it was the opposite. You're right. Yeah, I remember something like that. Like one of them were American, one of them was South African. I guess that makes his argument even worse. Christ is our best example for living and loving one another as neighbors, and we imitate him, investigate his claims. True, actually. But Juju just repeats the last talking point he heard while drunk, and his racism makes it fact. Also not wrong. We voted for the DA for sure. We will not be voting DA. Nope, nope, nope. I do not tell anyone how to vote on this channel. Ever. That's a failure of the apartheid regime, not economically uplifting the minorities before leaving office. Okay, Juju. Let's discuss this. So it's a failure of the apartheid regime. 30 years later, the country is doing worse than what it was in 1994. But shortly after 1994, the country actually started to do better. Under Nelson Mandela and under Thabo Mbeki, the country was actually starting to go up. And then Zuma comes to power and the country starts to tumble. So who's to blame? Is it still the white people? So we're ignoring Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki actually allowing the economy to grow. And we're just going, no. It's just the white people all the way down. If it was, in fact, the white people that was causing all of this, Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki would have also seen the economy crumble, no? If we're going to be consistent and all that. Here's the secret to success in life. Never see yourself as a victim, because a victim is weak. A victim cannot take care of themselves. A victim requires protection. And if that is where you think you are, that's who you will always be. Take responsibility for your own actions. And yes, the current state of South Africa is purely and squarely the fault of the black political elite. It has nothing to do with apartheid. It has nothing to do with the racist history of our country. Every single mistake that the ANC has made, they were warned about. We told them what they were doing wrong, how it was going to play out, and they continued to do it. And guess what? It played out exactly the way that they were warned it was going to play out. You cannot blame white people 30 years ago for that mistake. It took Germany, after the fall of Germany, following the Second World War, Germany was shot to shit. There was no Germany left. Every single one of their cities was leveled to the ground, shot to crap. It took them 15 years to rebuild themselves into one of the leading economies in Europe. 15 years. Following entire absolute annihilation at the hands of the Allies. But South Africa can't figure it out. Please. Oh, Germany was supported by other rich countries, and South Africa wasn't? South Africa has received aid in the tune of hundreds of billions of rands yearly from Europe, from America, from China, from Japan, from South Korea. Like, there is not a country in this world that isn't giving billions of rands every single year to the South African government to run through their behinds. So please spare me the nonsense. Germany was supported by rich people. So was South Africa. You're not guilty or not? No, Chris, no. It's another day. The judge needed to gather her mind before she lays things out. Who do you think is going to be our next president, Stephen? Toppy. Are you asking me who I want to have as our next president, or who do I think? Because who I think I'm gonna be an asshole. I'm gonna say I don't know. I know that is the worst response ever, right? Because it's such a cop-out. But here's the thing. I don't see who takes power next. I don't like Julius, not Julius Manuel. Ramaphosa can't run again, right? Ramaphosa is out. Following 2028, there's no more Ramaphosa. If you look at every single poll that is done within the ANC, there is no other leader in the ANC that the voters of the ANC likes. Paul Mashatile, they hate him. Fikile Mbalula, they hate him. Gwedi Mantashe, they hate him. No one in the ANC is actually fit to run. No one. So I actually think we might be living during the last years of the ANC. That's why the ANC has not gotten rid of Ramaphosa. There's no one to replace him with. They don't know what to do. So I actually think that's an interesting thing that we find ourselves in. Julius Malema will never be president of South Africa. The problem with Julius is if you actually take all of because in terms of votes, about 54% of registered voters actually voted in the last election. That means 46% of voters registered didn't vote at all. But when you actually increase that and you look at adults who are voting age and yet not voting, it's actually far worse. Then only about 33% of adults in South Africa are even registered to vote. Right? So most South Africans don't even vote. So I think in that regard, if you look at Malema's support, Malema has less than 5% of the total public support. Most South Africans don't care about Malema. I think the GNU, I'm just giving you all of the reasons why it's so difficult to predict who the president is, or the next president might be. I think the GNU might have been good for one thing, and that is it sort of broke the dam. Ordinary South Africans might finally wake up and realize, oh, wait, maybe we can vote for other parties and apartheid isn't just suddenly going to come back. Because that is a legitimate fear. I know, because I used to work construction. And I remember speaking to some of the black workers on the site. And one of the reasons they always refused to vote DA was the fact that they genuinely believed if they vote DA, apartheid will come back. Like, they genuinely believe that. And I used to have these conversations with them, like, dude, you realize that most white people don't want apartheid back, right? If you talk to anyone my age, we don't remember the glory days of apartheid. We don't remember apartheid. Like, I don't remember apartheid. Like, for me, this is I just know this South Africa. I don't know apartheid South Africa or any of that nonsense. I just know this South Africa, and I want this South Africa to work. I don't want separation or segregation. I don't want race laws. I just want a country that works and the government stays out of my way. That's it, right? Everything else I couldn't care less. But it's impossible to explain, right? Because if people believe it, that's what they believe. What are you going to do about it? So that was sort of sad. But I think the GNU may have actually broken that wall where people finally saw, oh, so the ANC can effectively lose an election and we don't immediately have apartheid? Well, that's quite nice. Right, so maybe that means something? I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely, I think this is going to be the hardest election ever. We're going to be busy. Leading up to that election, we're going to be busy. I think it's going to be a very difficult election. The gun away, if it was a toy gun, you can see it on the video clip. Burton, do not ask questions. In this country, it's better to not ask questions. Basically, what happened, I'll tell you guys, I'll give you exclusive footage of how this court case played out. This is exclusive behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen. Behind the scenes. The judge came to Julius Malema. And she was like, so, Julius, may I call you Julius? And he was like, of course. And she was like, okay, you have to say something. You have to, it doesn't matter what you say. I'm going to say not guilty, but you have to at least say something. Make it up. And he was like, I don't know. Like, there's video. I'm called date to rights. And she was like, just say it was a toy gun. I'm going to say not guilty. You just need to give me a reason to say not guilty. Ain't seen. That's literally it. That's how it happens. Julius Malema will not be found guilty. And if he is, there will be no jail time, even though technically there should be. There will be no penalties. He will probably just get away with it like every other politician in this country. First of all, the ANC has lost most of their votes, not to any other political party. This is actually a misnomer. The vast majority of votes that the ANC has lost are just people who stopped voting. And you have to think about how people stop voting. People who are activist-minded, so people who would normally support parties like the EFF, they will never stop voting. They're actively involved in politics. If they believe that Julius Malema can win and they can bring about their race war, they'll do it. Right? So they're still voting. Why do you think the vast majority of South Africans don't vote? Like, any of you guys in chat, why do you guys think the vast majority of South Africans don't vote? Julius is born, a distraction. PK, you're not wrong. I think so too. Magna, I don't even think it's cynical. I don't think it's because of cynicism. I'll leave you guys with this, and then I'm going to go because I have to go do more work. Because they don't count the votes, they lie. So, no. The vast majority of South Africans don't vote because when you actually look at polling in our country, the overwhelming majority of South Africans are conservative. Far more conservative than what they are liberal. The vast majority of South Africans are not left-wing communist nutcases. When you actually look at the amount of people that are not registered to vote, but can vote, they're of voting age, they're just not voting, it's because they don't care. There's no one that represents them. There are no conservative capitalist parties. The closest you have is the Freedom Front Plus, and the problem with the Freedom Front Plus is they were set up to be a sort of faction party. That's a big issue, right? That's a big issue. We need to get away from factional politics in this country. So I actually believe that if someone set up a proper Christian conservative party in this country, remember 85% of South Africans profess to be Christian. 85%. Right? 56% of South Africans say that it is a sin to be gay, but they do think gay people deserve the same rights as everyone else. 74% of South Africans say that they will not accept a family member who is gay. That's incredibly conservative, by the way. That's super conservative, SYI. Or FYI. Right? So South Africans are super conservative, both socially as well as economically and politically. So I do believe that if you set up a proper Christian conservative party, and I don't mean a theocracy, right? I'm not talking about setting up a theocratic government. I'm not talking about bringing the church to rule the state. I mean a party that sticks to good moral values, and a party that genuinely believes in the rule of law and in capitalism. I think you'd be able to activate a lot of voters in this country. ACDP. Awkward Leon, again, when I think of the ACDP, they are so uninspiring. We need, you know what? The era of politicians are over. The era of the politician that's dressed to the nines with their little suit and tie, speaking all these beautiful little words, that's over. No one cares anymore. We want someone that's real, someone that's normal, someone that speaks like a normal human being. This is actually one of the things I think the DA made such a big mistake on. They took John Steenhuisen, who in Parliament was this go-getter, couldn't give a crap, said whatever needed to be said, off the cuff, sharp as a tack. They made him the leader of the party, and what's the first thing they do? They educate him. They turn him into just another stooge. Ah, man, come on. Really? Why do you take away the one thing that this man had going for him, which was he didn't give a crap. He would just say stuff. Now he's just another politician, speaking like another politician. It's annoying. Yeah, BK, so I believe that the true secret to South Africa is to do what Charlie Kirk did in America. We need to get out to university campuses, the change is going to happen with our students. The one thing that South Africa has going for it is that we are an incredibly young nation. The vast majority of South Africans are young. They're ages 16 to 24. You have to get to where those kids are. And you have to teach them that capitalism is the right way. Conservative values is the right way. Christianity is the right way. It's only by doing those things that you can fix this country. It's a long-term project. But if you do that on the one side and then you build a conservative political party on the other side where these two can link up, I think you have a real shot of making a truly successful political movement. Do you think Zil will become the Joburg mayor? I do, actually. I mean, it's exciting. It is exciting, and I do think so. I think there's a real shot of it. The question for me more is, can she get an outright majority? And here's the bigger one. Can the ANC, can the DA win Gauteng? Because if the DA cannot win Gauteng, there's no point. There's no point. There's no point in winning Johannesburg, Pretoria, or any of that, because unless you can control the province so that you can control the budgets, there's no point. It's ultimately you're gonna fight the ANC at every turn, trying to do anything in the province. It's a complete waste of time, specifically because we have so little, like towns and cities in South Africa have so little power, that it barely matters. You can win it, but the ANC and IF will sabotage everything. Sandra, you're probably not wrong. The National Party was extremely conservative and religious. See where that got us. Neta, okay, so the National Party was extremely conservative. That you are absolutely correct with. They were not, however, extremely religious. If you actually go into their theology, you will find that they were very happy to use religion to further their own goals. But they themselves were not Christian, right? They weren't following Christ. In fact, the overwhelming majority of the leaders of the National Party were not church attending at all. They were happy to use religion, and throughout history, people have used all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons, right? If we go back to the French Revolution, and we go back specifically to the era of Enlightenment, you will find that people used rationality as a way to murder hundreds of thousands of people. Basically thinking if you're irrational, we can just kill you. And then we can make everyone rational, right? We can go look up that history if you want. Humans have found reasons to kill each other for basically all of our existence. So that's not a valid thing. You have to look at the heart of the person. What is that person attempting to do? And then look at what they actually do. So, for example, the founding fathers of America, they were Christian. Look at the nation that they founded. That's what Christianity gets you. Ferraris, how you doing, bro? Christ would not have been honored by the NPCP. People co-opted Christianity for their own means. People are always going to co-opt everything, right? Like, that's just always going to be the case. There's no... there is no movement, zero, that will not eventually become corrupt. The best you can hope for is that you set up enough control to keep the corruption from spreading too fast. That's effectively the best you can do. We're in for big changes soon, next 3 to 12 months. Zoom out. It's going to be interesting. Now, there is a contradiction in terms. Why, Steve? The plan should be easy enough. First, take out the ANC with the DA and then grow actual leading parties that can govern. I don't know if the DA just feels uninspiring. I don't know, guys. Look, I'm never going to endorse any political party on my channel. My job is to report on these political parties. My job is to tell you what they're doing. Your job is to vote. I'm never going to tell you who I'm voting for. I'm never going to tell you who I support in the election because that's not my job. I don't want to be responsible for people going, hey, you told us to vote for this and what the hell, right? It's not my job. My job is to tell you what they're doing. And then your job is to decide how you want to use that information. Rich, I hate to be the one to point this out to you, but you do an astonishingly amount of things in your life every single day, not based on facts, but purely based on faith, based on belief. In fact, if you wanted facts, you'd do almost nothing because you have facts for almost nothing. Almost everything is just based on faith. Fortunately, we don't have Hollywood celebs who tell you who to vote for as you are too dumb. Robert, that is true. Sadly, I wish we had Hollywood celebrities who could tell us who to vote for because, maybe that'd help. Going to continue. Anthony, yes, we will be streaming tomorrow. The judge said that it's going to take about 2.5 hours for her to finish the last bit of the trial. So we'll be watching again tomorrow from, I think it's 9 o'clock that it starts. So yeah, we'll be live again tomorrow for that. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be me then. I'm going to go. Yeah, but Isak, you're just voting for Sweeney because she's hot. You're not voting for Sweeney because she actually has anything of value to add. Do you have any SA celebs other than Elon? Craven, not really. None that matters, right? We have Steve. I don't know. Do we call Steve a celebrity? I guess in the most pure sense of the word, he's probably a celebrity. But South African celebrities aren't really the same, right? Like, we don't really... I feel like rugby players are bigger celebrities in South Africa than actual singers and actors. Like, singers and actors here in South Africa are more just like, oh, yeah, you're a singer and you're an actor. That's great. No one cares. But all right, boys, I'm going to go. I will see all of you tomorrow morning. I'll have more videos tomorrow, most likely, just dependent on time. I'm quickly going to go do a bit more research and stuff because I have some videos that I want to put out in the near future. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's super chatted and everyone that's following and becoming members and stuff. I really appreciate all of you. Please remember to hit the like button if you have not already, because that really does help. It truly helps. YouTube likes when people hit buttons for some reason. Don't ask me why, but that's apparently an important thing for them. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see all of you tomorrow. And as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. A peace.